Good, good evening, everyone. Welcome to welcome back to the Shanks Unleashed pod. Sorry, Bill's shaking his head. I can't get past it.
Well,
Thank you guys for joining us. I am Andy.
That 1980s porn music that we were.
Wait. Hold on now. You want me to explain again?
Is that
Just
your,
take it.
is that your friends? Is that your friend's music?
No. That is my cousin's band. Andy, how are you tonight? Bill, how are you tonight? I hope y'all are well.
I'm great.
Okay. That is a band called Fruit. That is my cousins who started that band, and they have a new single coming out. It's out now, Emmeline. You can download it off Spotify or iTunes. And Bill, this band right now, tomorrow, will be in Muscle Shoals recording their new album. Muscle Shoals, where the Stones, Aretha Franklin, Paul Simon recorded music. So it ain't just some fly-by-nighter. They're a good band.
Sounds great. It just reminds me when I was watching USA Network late at night as I was 18 trying to get hooked up for the first time.
Okay. Well, that's okay. It takes you back to your roots, right? So
Hey,
the band is called Fruit. And Bill, I'll tell you what, I'll share their catalog with you and we'll let you pick out the next song. How about that? Is that fair?
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
That's good.
Well, guys, we want to welcome everyone here tonight. We appreciate you guys joining us. Of course, I am Andy Stowe. He is the one and only Eddie from Ackworth, and of course, the star of our show and the star of the Bill Shanks Show that you can stream from 3 to 7 on the superstations.com. Bill Shanks. We want to thank everyone who's here tonight. Bill, first, it's good to see you again. It's been a while since we've seen you last.
Yes,
I hope your mom's doing well. So
a little bit better. She's getting there. Yep. Thank you.
Good.
And one very important question before we start talking about sports: did we land on the moon today?
Holy crap! And nobody gave a shit. And you know what? Let me tell you, I saw this because I have I have 4 TVs in front of where I do the show. And so one's on CNN, one's on MSNBC, one's on Fox, and one's on ESPN or MLB Network. And so I'm watching CNN and they're talking about it. And so like at 6:24, all the other 2 news operation were not. And I'm like, well, maybe CNN's making this up. They make a lot of shit up. But yeah, they landed on the moon. How about that?
I did not hear anything about that until I was listening to your show today. And when you said we're landing on the moon today, I was like, what is this? So,
but it might be a little shaky because Wolf Blitzer did have as an analyst William Shatner.
Yeah, that makes it sound like we might do some Star Trek stuff. So, But Eddie, how's it going? How are you today?
I'm great. Hope you guys are well. So, Andy, how old are you? I'll start this conversation with asking how old you are.
Well, I had a birthday about 2 months ago, and I turned 40. So
okay,
yes.
40.
Yeah, remember, you turned 40. You can't remember. What do you got? Dementia?
Yeah, I have dementia, Bill.
Along with gray hair.
Anyway, the reason I asked that, Andy, is because 44 years ago tonight, right now, Bill and I were 10 years old, and you have
9, bitch. 9.
Yeah.
9. I hadn't turned 10 yet.
Yeah, okay. Within March 13th, he had not turned 10. We were born in the same year. Anyway, the point is, it was the greatest miracle of all time. And Andy, you weren't even born. The USA hockey team beat the Russian team. And back then, what's insane about this is people like yourself, Andy, will not appreciate this because at that time, Olympics was all amateurs, or was supposed to be, right? They were not pro players. It was people that were not. They were amateurs, except for the Russians. They cheated and they used pro players and they kicked our ass every year. They were the greatest hockey team ever assembled. And somehow this band of USA players beat the Soviets. And at that time, the Soviets were our enemy, Cold War. We hated them. They were communists, all that kind of stuff. And somehow we beat them. And it was the greatest call ever by the man. Okay. I mean, he's the best announcer ever. Michaels, right? Al Michaels, just incredible. And you need to go pull that up. And if you haven't seen the movie Miracle, go watch that because it encapsulates everything Bill and I watched. And the other crazy thing, Bill, is that was on in New York City. It was on Lake Placid and it was on during the day. And it was broadcast later that evening. And we had no idea of the outcome. None. Can you just think about that for a second? We had no idea of the outcome. We watched it tape delayed and went crazy at like 10 o'clock at night. It's insane how things have changed.
Andy, it was kind of like when Eddie was waiting around to see if John F. Kennedy was going to make it through his surgery. I mean, it was that was funny, Eddie. You better laugh, bitch. You know what? First of all, you're right. Al Michaels, he's the best. I mean,
Unbelievable.
This is like Al Michaels is up here. Everybody's down there. It's ridiculous.
Wait, can I say one thing about that? Go watch Tony Romo at the end of the Super Bowl talking over the end play, and go watch Al Michaels at that play. He did it perfectly. He said, do you believe in miracles? And he backed off, and it gives me chills thinking about it. He didn't have to say a damn word, and that's what a perfect announcer does.
Yeah, he was so good. And I tell you, I'm not a big Tirico fan. I just have never gotten Tirico.
Oh, I love Tirico. I disagree with you. I think Tirico's great. I don't know why you don't like him.
He's overrated.
I think he's great.
For him to no, he's overrated. Plus, he's about 4'7". So well, I don't trust people that short.
What are you, a shortest?
Have you seen me?
What do you call that? A midgetist? I don't know what you call that.
Short people got no reason. Andy don't know what we're talking about. Anyway, but no, well, I think I don't like Tirico because he's running people off. I mean, he ran Al Michaels off. It's like Al Michaels and Collingsworth were great together. I love those two together.
Yeah, they were. I agree with that.
So that was ridiculous. But no, Al Michaels was the best. He was a great baseball announcer. He did everything. He was tremendous. He was just a great announcer. And that was shocking. And you know what I remember about that too, Eddie, is that Jim Craig, the goaltender for the U.S. team, wound up with the Atlanta Flames.
That's right. That's right.
He was an Atlanta Flame because everybody started signing the players from the U.S. Olympic team. And Jim Craig, who, like you said, wrapped himself in the flag, he was an Atlanta Flame. It was like, that's cool as hell. That's really, really good. And then the Flames left to go to Calgary, so fuck them. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. All right, let's talk baseball. I don't give a shit about hockey.
Well, I just thought, it's an anniversary. I just thought it was interesting.
That is pretty cool. I have seen the movie, and that is cool. I mean, so I agree with you, Eddie. I like it. I did not know it was today, though. But yeah, I have seen the movie, so I know a little bit of what you're talking about. So.
See, Andy, when you get older like Eddie, you start remembering anniversaries more often.
Well, they're more meaningful. I mean, things have changed so much. It's okay to be nostalgic. I'm not going to apologize for that.
Plus, now we like communists or something. But
look at Ken from coming already sucking up to the host. I mean, are you kidding me? Good Lord.
I have lost 19 pounds.
Have you really? Good for you. That's great. I'm proud of you, Bill.
I have lost 19 pounds, and I want a piece of fried chicken so bad I'm about to fucking go crazy.
I have to have my fried chicken. I don't know how you're doing that. That's impressive. So good job. That's 19 pounds.
I've only cheated a couple of times and had some fried shrimp last Saturday, but 19 pounds. It's
a combination of watching what you're eating and working out, right? I mean, yeah, there you go. Yeah, good.
Yeah, but I can't go tomorrow. He wanted me to come tomorrow. I've got a personal trainer,
right?
And he's helped me a great deal. But it's 35 miles away. That's the only problem.
Really? Oh, that's a pain.
Yeah, it's in South Warner Robins, so I have to leave like at 7:20 to get there at 8 o'clock, and then by the time I get back here at 9:45, and it's like half my morning's gone, so it's tough. It's not easy, but he's really helped me, and I can't go tomorrow because I'm doing the Georgia Sports Hall of Fame thing, but still he has helped me, and I've lost 19 pounds though, so I'm trying my best. Thank you for Ken. I appreciate that. You're always been my favorite caller.
Oh my God.
Well, if Ken, you have an open invitation. Now he may not be your favorite caller. Who's he talking to? There you go.
He was guys, a caller.
Yeah, so not anymore. That just changed. Sorry, Ken. Well, guys, I want to ask you guys about UGA, about the coaching changes that is going on. Brian McClendon, he left to go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, Bill, how much will this impact Georgia? How much will this impact the play on the field and the recruiting? And is this, we were talking about this Sunday night with Paul Maharry. Is this a sign of what is happening with the coaches leaving early? And also, when you go get a new coach, what do we need to get? Do we need to get a coach that is a recruiter first, or do we need to get a guy that can coach up guys? Because Georgia kind of shops, more in the 3-4 star range instead of the elite guys.
Well, I think it is a little bit of a sign that coaches are examining their options. And, I don't, Chip Tower said today on our show, he doesn't think that Brian McClendon necessarily went to the NFL because he's tired of the recruiting and the schedule necessarily. But I think when we hear the Boston College head coach going to the Packers, we hear even Chip Kelly going to OC. I think that tells you that we're going to have more people thinking about their options. And Chip said today about John Lilly, the former coach at Georgia, who spent time in the NFL, who examined what he was wanting to do, and it's like going to the NFL allowed me to spend more time with my kids, so it was a no-brainer. And so I think you've got to wonder about that. But look, I don't worry about what Kirby Smart's going to do. I think we've gotten to the point where it's like, hey, we trust Kirby to do the right thing. He's got a great network. Who wouldn't want to coach with the Georgia Bulldogs? I think that needs to have the priority with the fan base of not saying that anything Kirby does is perfect, but we trust him. We trust him to do the right thing. We trust him to get the right people to come in. And I mean, I think obviously Del McGee's going to be a bigger one to replace. No offense to Brian McClendon, but I think Del McGee's has been set for so long, and he's, he was a high school coach at Carver. He came to Georgia. He's been a really good college coach, and that's going to be, I think, tougher to replace than anything. By the way, so let me say this to Lane. Lane, nominate Jeff or anyone else who wants to nominate someone for the Georgia Sports Hall of Fame. Go to georgiasportshalloffame.com, fill out the paperwork, send it in, and they'll be nominated. That's the first thing. A lot of times it's people that aren't nominated, and we don't know about them if they're not nominated. So please go to the website and check that out, Lane. Go ahead.
Eddie, what do you think? Do you think how big of an impact is this going to be? And what do you think we should go after, a recruiter or more of a teacher/coach?
Yeah, I mean, we discussed this Sunday, like you said, Andy, and I was kind of taken aback with what Paul said. I never really thought about it, that this position really is more of a recruiting position than a coaching position. I mean, they can all coach, right? I mean, we're not bringing in some dummy that can't coach wide receivers, but it's really a guy that can recruit. And I mean, everybody's first inclination is, well, Hines Ward, let's go get him, right? Let's bring him in. Who's a better recruiter? Just sit him in a living room and let him talk to guys. Hines Ward was MVP of the Super Bowl. He's a legend, but is he really a legend in 18, 19, or 17, 16, 15-year-olds' minds? I don't know that, right? They may know from their dads, but that's a great point to bring up, that he may not be that. And I don't know what kind of recruiter Hines Ward is, but he can damn sure coach. I know that. I know he's been let go, but he's got experience and he can do those kinds of things. So that would be my first choice, but I'm not Kirby Smart. And like Bill said, I mean, there's probably going to be some guy Kirby's going to bring in. We're all going to be like, we didn't think about that guy. But Kirby's got a credenza, right? He's got preparations for all of this stuff, Del McGee included, which is probably going to happen tomorrow. He may be going to Georgia State tomorrow. He's got a credenza of people lined up that he's going to talk to and bring them in. And I'm like with Bill, just trust Kirby. It doesn't bother me one bit. This is part of the deal that we have to deal with, winning championships and being finally an elite program in football.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm not. I like Hines Ward a lot, but he's had a chance to bring Hines in before, hasn't he? And he hasn't. Yeah. So I'll be really surprised if he does that. I really will.
When has he had a chance to bring him in?
Well, before Brian McClendon, he had a chance to bring him in originally. He's had a couple of chances because I think right when Kirby got the job, Hines was like, I'd love to come coach with Kirby. So I think
he was at the time he was employed, and right now he's a free agent. He's not employed right now, right?
He would have left to come to Georgia if he was employed by anybody. I think
think so.
Yeah, I don't think Kirby's hired him, and maybe he will, but I don't. I thought more about Terrence Edwards, and then Edwards kind of made a little crap.
That wasn't good what he wrote.
What's that all about? Why would you say that?
I didn't understand that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like, well, he ain't gonna be hired now, right?
No,
I mean,
I wouldn't think so. Yeah,
and I thought he
good things about him.
Yeah, I really thought Terrence Edwards would be the guy because with his school, he has for the high school guys. I was like, that's perfect recruiting. I was like, he would be the perfect guy to hire. But I don't know. It just doesn't seem like that's going to happen now. But you mentioned Dell McGee, Bill, and so my question is, if you were Dell McGee, do you take the Georgia State job? Whereas last year, Sean Elliott only made $811,000 to be the head coach there. Dell McGee's making $850 at Georgia as the running back coach. Is that a step up for him just because it is a head coaching job, or is this going to be like Sean Elliott when he says, you know what, I'm going back to college or going to South Carolina and just be a position coach?
Well, I think Dell McGee's got to scratch that itch. I mean, I think he wants to. He wants to see if he can be a head coach, and it's unfortunate he hasn't gotten a better opportunity at a Wake Forest or a smaller ACC school or something like that. I mean, Dan Lanning was very fortunate to go from Georgia's DC to Oregon. I mean, that was a huge jump. A lot of people were like, wow, that's pretty good. But obviously he's justified the hiring by having a very good start to his coaching career. But I think Dell McGee needs to take it because you don't want to wait too long and then your time kind of run out. Like, well, we could have hired Dell McGee a couple of years ago, but now he's 51. Because Dell McGee's got to be in his late 40s, doesn't he? I'd Google that. Yeah. But I mean, I can't imagine Dell McGee not being pushing 50 because he's been at Georgia for several years and he coached in high school for a pretty good amount of time. So I think it'll be a good job for him. Unfortunately, it's hard to get. You got to network, got to know people. And for whatever reason, he hasn't gotten plucked off the staff. But hopefully he'll take it and be. So I think it's a great hire for them.
I'm going to disagree with you, Bill. I don't think it's a good move for him. I just don't. I mean, it's Georgia State. I mean, what are you going to do there? What are you going to accomplish there?
If you want to be a head coach, how long are you going to wait? You got to.
I would say wait a couple more. I would say wait a couple more years for something comes up. What if South Carolina comes up and they're not happy with Shane Beamer?
They're not going to hire Darryl Mickey.
How do you know that?
Because he's not a coordinator. He hasn't been a coordinator. Yeah. That's one problem that he's had. He's been the running backs coach. They haven't made him coordinator. After Todd, they plugged in Mike Bobo. Bobo left. Would Dell McGee get it? Maybe. But, that's the thing. I think it would help him if he was a coordinator. Well, he wasn't going to get that at Georgia. So I think he needed to take this because, again, well, how old is he, Andy? Did you see how old he is?
Yeah.
He's 50.
Yeah,
he is 50. You can't wait around. If you get into the early 50s, and then you got to be careful. So I think he had to go ahead because of that. If he was 40, Lanning could wait, and it's like Glenn Schumann. Glenn Schumann's probably had opportunities. What is Glenn Schumann, 29 or something like that?
Yeah,
he's like 37, 36, something like that. Yeah, he's young, so he can be more selective than someone who's 50. So I think that's got a lot to do with it, to be honest.
Yeah, Glenn Schumann's 33 years old.
Yeah, 33. So hell, he could wait 5 more years if he wants to. It's like, okay, I'm the defensive coordinator. Now he's really a defensive coordinator because Will's out of the way. It's like I can wait on my Oregon to come falling in my lap, right?
Yeah, that's what he's in a lot better spot.
On that, while we're here, what Bill do you think might be the replacement for Dell McGee?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. No names are going to come up to me. The first thing I thought of was Robert Gillespie at Alabama.
That's exactly what I thought of. Yep.
Because he's an outstanding recruiter, and it's like, I don't know what Kirby's relationship was with him when he was at Alabama. But
they weren't there at the same time, though. Well, they weren't. He was brought on in Alabama in 2021. So
okay. Yeah. So
but he came to work for Nick Saban, not for Kalen DeBoer, right?
Right. So DeBoer convinced Robert Gillespie to stay, but he's one of the best recruiters in the SEC. So I would Cadillac. Cadillac got a job with the Las Vegas Raiders, didn't he, Chris? I believe. I think.
No, he's still with Auburn.
No, he left. He left.
He did?
He left at the end of the year when all those coaches left. Coach Freeze's staff. So I think Cadillac went to the Raiders as a offensive analyst or something like that.
Raiders had Cadillac Williams as running back coach. Yeah.
Okay. Running back. I didn't realize that. I thought he was still with Auburn.
No, he left. So yeah, I saw that the other day that he was with the Raiders. So I mean, Cadillac was great. I thought Cadillac did a great job, but I think, you wonder with Kirby, with Gillespie being so good, you wonder if that phone call would be made and if they could tempt Gillespie to leave. I read that they begged Gillespie and the other one, who was the other one, from Nick's staff to stay. So, no, I don't think Robert Edwards is an option. I don't.
That's what I was going to bring up is Robert Edwards.
No,
why? We talked about Terrence Edwards. He's a high school coach. Why not Robert Edwards?
I just don't think Kirby's going to go with that. I think Kirby is. I mean, obviously Del McGee had been a coach, but Del McGee was trying to move up to the college ranks. Robert hadn't even had very successful at Waco, so I would be surprised by that. I really would. I think there's got to be some connection there that can have that recruiting tie, and I think that's what we're going to see. I think it's going to be a big recruiting tie.
Yeah. So
I think he'll go.
Before we move on, Andy, I want to ask Bill this. Those two positions, Bill, which do you think is more important, the recruiting aspect or the coaching aspect?
Recruiting.
On both?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because, okay, Dell had running game coordinator, but Mike Bobo's offensive coordinator, right? He's going to put the game plan in. And plus, Kirby's so involved, for crying out loud, in this. I mean, I think I'm not saying you don't need to know what you're talking about, but I think that's why Robert Edwards or Terrence Edwards or even Hines just doesn't seem. I'd be shocked because it's like Kirby's going to want somebody who's going to be like Robert Gillespie and be one of the top recruiters in the SEC. So that's why I'd really be shocked if it's not someone who's just an A1 recruiter. Because I mean, that's what it's all about. It's all about recruiting, and yes, development's important too. There's no question about that. But they want to win, and they want to win right now. And heck, the bad thing is development's not as important anymore because you can't trust that you're going to keep them for more than 1 year anyway.
That's a great point. Yeah, develop them and they're gone. That's exactly right. Yeah. Oh yeah, Thomas Brown. I thought about Thomas Brown too. He ain't coming back to the college ranks. Why would you do that?
Because he's close. He's on that tier that's ready to get a job at some point in a year or two.
Yep. He's the OC right now, so he's not coming back for college, and especially as crazy as college has gotten.
Would you? Hell no! If you were in the NFL, I wouldn't.
No. And but Eddie, what do you think about that? Do you think it's better for a coach or a recruiter? Because I think it's a recruiter. Because Todd Gurley, you got him on campus, he was going to be the best player no matter what. I could have told him, go run this ball. He's going to be the best running back.
Yeah. Well, my first question is Ken from Cumming. That's a great. Who is Bicep Boy? That's Bill now. He's the one that's been working out. No, you've been working out there, buddy. Look at there. I mean, my God. Look at that. Flexing. That's unbelievable.
Scared you, didn't it?
Go
ahead.
I mean, I think it's 50-50. I mean, because the development's so important too. And
it is.
I don't know. I'd have to think about that for a second. But really, Kirby does the recruiting, right? I mean, Kirby's the guy. And I understand Dell did and Brian, they were all ancillary to that, but Kirby's the guy. And I just think Kirby gives more room. Huh?
Kirby's the closer.
Kirby's the closer.
I think are you talking about running backs and receivers? I mean, I think there's more probably coaching with receivers because they have to know how to block. But these running backs, I mean, like these three guys coming in, see the hole, hit it, and fucking run through the hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, would it be so awful to have Hines Ward going into a living room? I keep going back to that. I just think that guy, he's legendary. And I know it's older.
And Pittsburgh.
Yeah. So Super Bowl. I mean, look at you go walk up back and watch the Super Bowl. He did it. He's the man. I don't know. It's a tough call. I would say it's 50-50. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah. I love Hines. I'm with you. I love Hines. He was one of my favorite players.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I think blocking downfield. That dude could block downfield like nobody's business. He broke face mask in the NFL. I mean, come on.
Well, guys, we're talking about the football team. I want to talk about the Georgia baseball team for a minute because the Diamond Dogs are off to a 4-0 start. They swept the UNC Asheville, and then they went to Georgia State, and they beat them Tuesday night. They are killing the ball right now. Like, this is like one of the strongest offenses that I remember in the last few years for Georgia. You got obviously Charlie Condon. He may be the best player in baseball right now, or in college ball.
That's not an
He's hitting-
exaggeration. You might be right.
No, it's not. He's hitting 714. His OPS is 2,157. The dude has an 800 on base percentage. He hit 2 home runs in the game Tuesday. He's only got 4 RBI, but that's fine. But the thing is, he's not the only one that's doing it. They got a lot of guys doing it. Dylan Goldstein is hitting 500 right now with an OPS of 1958. He's got a couple of home runs, 8 RBIs, and you have Slade Alford's hitting 400. His OPS is 1305. He's got 3 homers with 10 RBIs. Bill, I know you follow this team pretty good, and I know you talk to a lot of guys that follow it. What are they saying about this team? How good do they think they are now, and how good do they think they can be at the end of the year?
I don't think we know. I really don't. I mean, I think until we get into conference play, I don't think we're going to know too much. I mean, look, the SEC is extremely tough. It's great they're doing outstanding early on. It's fantastic for them to have a new coach and to come in here and hit the ball like this and pitch well too. When's the last time they had a shutout? 19 what, so it's a great start for this team. We got to see them continue it though, and continue to just play at a high level. Alford looks legit offensively. There's no question about it. He's got to play good defense at third base. He's got to be good there too. So I'm excited about it. That's great. I think it's an outstanding start for a new coach, but we got a long way to go. And, because this is another opportunity to see what kind of a team they're going to have with, what was it, 26 new players between freshmen and
transfers.
Yeah, I mean, we have no clue, right? We have no clue yet. But the pitching, that right there to me is more even exciting than the hitting, because Wes Johnson's going to get these guys better on the mound. Yep. And if they hit, it's like the Braves, same thing. We know they're going to hit, right? Well, I think we know Georgia's going to hit after what they've done their first 4 games. If they pitch, look out.
Well,
they have a team ERA of 191.
Yeah. And you got to take it with a grain of salt. And we played UNC Asheville 3 times and then Georgia State. Okay. I mean, we played nobody, right? No offense to them, but come on. I mean, but still, Bill, it's not like we won 2-1, 3-2, 5-1. I mean, we are mashing the ball and destroying these teams and keeping the runs in check on the ERA 1.91, like you said, Andy. So, I mean, I'm excited about it. I mean, this is what you want out of the gate. You don't want to go 1-3 and be like, oh, well, here we go. Right. I mean, this is an exciting start. And I'm with you, Bill. I think Wes Johnson, that guy commands pitchers to do well. He really does. And coming over from LSU, that's what LSU was built on, is pitching. So I'm excited about the start. You're right, though. I mean, we have to see what happens in SEC play, and the SEC is a gauntlet.
Yeah, the SEC. It may be the SEC may be the best conference in football, maybe the best conference in baseball, and maybe the best conference in basketball.
You might be right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's they're fun. I really like watching them. They're I love, like, especially with JD and DJ being on the call on the SEC Network Plus. It's good listening to those guys. Yeah, so it's really. They're fun. They're just a fun team. Like, it's kind of like the Braves last year. They were just fun to watch. So.
Right. That's right.
Speaking of the Braves, spring training is started. They reported on, I guess, February the 14th, and then they had their first workout the 15th, and then the first full squad workout was the 20th. They play this coming up Saturday against the Devil Rays, or the Rays, whatever. So we know the top 4 in the rotate. There you go.
Jumbo Shrimp, the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, Ken from Coming.
Where's Ken? Go ahead.
He's logging off now.
But yeah, they do play Saturday versus the Devil Rays, and so we know that the top 4 of the rotation is going to be Max Fried, Spencer Strider, Charlie Morton, and Chris Sale. Bill, today on your show, you were talking about that fifth starter spot, and what name did you say is getting a lot of praise right now?
Well, I think a lot of them are. I mean, today there was video of Reynaldo Lopez on the mound, and I made the comment about the competition of Hurston Waldrop, AJ Smith-Shawver, Bryce Elder. It's like, well, okay, they signed Reynaldo Lopez to stretch him out to see if he can be a starter. And so it's like, well, what if he is the best one for the job? What if he does get the job? Forgot to mention Huascar Noah, who looks really good so far.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah, looks. I mean, they all look good. Thank God. I mean, for all we know, they all look pretty good. But so it's like, well, what if Lopez is the guy? And because I think, if Elder's got to suck to not get this, I think. But I may be wrong about that, because and that's the thing, if Lopez goes out there and like he can really just blow people away, and he can be stretched out to where he can be a 5-6 guy, any guy, then maybe they won't put him in the bullpen and they'll put him in the rotation. And if that's the case, then that means Waldrop and Smith-Shawver go down, and maybe Elder goes to the bullpen as the new Jesse Chavez. I mean, I think there's a lot of options there. I mean, I probably would prefer, if they all are equal in spring training, is for Elder to get the fifth starter's job, Lopez to go to the bullpen, because Lopez in that bullpen is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then Smith-Shawver and Hurston to go down to AAA. And I don't know about Inoa. I mean, Inoa might beat them all. He might. I mean, it is the best fifth starters competition we've seen for the Atlanta Braves in a long time. I mean, we're not talking about shit candidates here. We're talking about really good options. And, Alex Anthopoulos said on our show that, hey, if AJ Smith-Shawver goes there and just kicks ass, he'll get it. So, I think that it's wide open, and it's going to depend on, the health of the bullpen. Who else is going to be running for the bullpen? If the bullpen's stacked, they may lean toward putting Lopez in the rotation. If the bullpen needs help, they may put Lopez back in the bullpen. So, I can't wait to watch the competition. I really am excited about it.
Bill, do you think if Ronaldo Lopez wins that fifth starter position, does that hurt the bullpen? I know you're going to put Elder there, but Elder's kind of a starter mindset, right? And maybe long-term relief there. Do you think that hurt the bullpen?
Well, I don't know about hurt. I think the bullpen would be stronger with him in it. Yeah, with Lopez in it, because if you take Iglesias, Minter, Bummer, Johnson, Jimenez, and Lopez.
Yeah.
And then maybe Dylan Lee. I don't know.
Can't even mention Matzik.
Matzik's probably going to be a little delayed, but I mean, I think
he's going to be part of it. Yeah.
And, but if Inoa or Elder's the swing guy or whatever, I mean, because I could see Inoa being that long guy as the last person in the bullpen.
Okay, that's what I wanted to ask you. Yeah. So you think Inoa could be that guy?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that I don't think that's out of the question. I mean, I mean, so far, I mean, obviously it's February 22nd, but so far it's ridiculous of how good everything sounds as far as knock on wood, no injuries, nothing. Of course, we may not know a whole lot. And I don't know about Dylan Lee. I haven't heard anything about Dylan Lee. No. He's coming off kind of an injury plagued season. So I kind of wonder about Dylan Lee a little bit.
What about Dodd? We hadn't heard anything about Dodd.
Yeah,
right?
Dodd's a AAA guy, I mean, I think Winans and Dodd and Vines are going to be. I think Vines of those three has probably got the best chance of doing something this year. So I think we're just going to have to monitor all these games to see who does what to keep up with the stats on a regular basis of what they're doing. But I wouldn't be surprised with any scenario. I wouldn't. I mean, the other day I saw the thing about I don't know where about. Well, they're all talking about Hurst and Waldrop. Well, I'm going to tell you, if those batters step into that cage and they see that splitter, they're going to have a conniption, because they probably have never seen anything like that splitter. That thing is nasty.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah, I mean, but of course he's got to use it at the big league level. That's a whole nother thing, right? But I mean, I think Waldrop could make a big impression, because Waldrop and they may give him some starts, but in spring training, Waldrop comes in second. Well, he's going to face a bunch of AAA guys anyway. Well, if he makes them look like crap, how much does that mean? So they really got to look at these guys in different levels and different stages of these games to see what they can do. But I don't think I'd be surprised if any of the five, Waldrop, Smith-Shawver, Inoa, Lopez, or Elder, get the fifth starter's job. I really am not.
I think a lot of people probably forget how good Huascar Noah was a couple of years ago before he got hurt. I mean, he was nasty. He threw, he was throwing 96, 97. I mean, he could heat it up. He looked really good. I think a lot of
Statistically, he was
people,
better than Bryce Elder. He was.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's no question. And
he's,
if he's throwing gas,
yeah,
because look, Alex likes velocity.
Yep.
And that may be the problem with Bryce Elder but the problem with Bryce Elder is that I don't want them to kill his value.
yeah.
I'd love to be able, because I was like, okay, if you're all-star from last year can't make your rotation this year, that's a really good sign, number one. But number two, how does that hurt Bryce Elder's value?
Yeah, his trade value could go down. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you send him to AAA, his trade value shit. So it's like, well, how do you protect that value? Do you put him in the rotation, hope he does well, and then if another guy pushes him from behind, then trade him for a prospect, a double-A prospect? I mean, but we'll see. It's going to be. I can't wait to watch it. This is the most fun, and I want to go back and look. When's the last time we've had a fifth starters competition like this? Because I think it's been a while.
Gosh, yeah. I'm off the top of my head. I don't think we've had competitions, but I don't think we've had competitions where there's been like 5 legit guys that are really good. And, we haven't even brought up Ian Anderson. He'll be coming back, it'll be mid-year, but he could be a guy that could come in and have some, have an impact for the Braves.
Yeah, it would be that would be, late. That'd be August probably before he could be an option for the team.
Oh, it's that late? Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think he's his first year anniversary date sometime in April.
Yeah.
So, you're usually talking 15 months. So, that's why Noah is so much ahead of Ian and others, because he's like 18 months out.
Yeah.
He should be ready to go. It's like, and Alex said, he has no restrictions on him entering spring training. So now that he has gotten to spring training, we'll see.
But just think about the wealth of riches we have right now. We're talking about the 5th starter and what a competition it is for the number 5 starter. I mean, this is unbelievable. 1, 2, 3, 4. We got that. I mean, it's the 5th starter, and we got 5 bodies we just mentioned for that? Maybe 6.
Legit guys too. It's legit.
Yeah,
that's
legit.
what it is.
I mean, it's fantastic. What an exciting time to be a Braves fan, huh?
You're right. And I think that's why I'm so keyed up about the season, is because I'm buying into this rotation. I mean, look, I know that there's questions about, will Max will stay healthy? Will Charlie be okay at 40? Will Sale stay healthy? Name me a rotation in the game. I mean, the Dodgers. Glasnow hasn't pitched a fullest season in his life. Paxton's coming off his first season back from Tommy John.
Right.
I mean, name me a rotation that doesn't have multiple questions going into the season. So I love it. I mean, I love what we read today about Chris Sale. He feels great. He's doing well. It's like, if y'all realize if Chris Sale, I'm telling you, go watch the video on YouTube of him mowing the Phillies down, making them look like chicken shit last June. I mean, it was like, God help me, if this guy is 85% of what he was when he was in Boston, this guy's going to be unbelievable. He could be an all-star and be in a Cy Young competition. He really could.
Well, that's what I love. That's what I love. Sorry, Andy. That's what I love about this, because you're developing for the 5th starter. Things are going to happen. I'm not wishing injury on anything, but God forbid, what if Strider goes down? You might have a 5th starter that can move up, a Husker Yanoa, right? Who's that good, who could move into that position. That's what I love. Like you said, Bill, it's like linemen. You can't have enough of them. You cannot have enough pitching. And it seems like Alex has built that, and he's one that he kind of understands better than anybody that the problem with the Phillies has been nibbling. He's brought in guys that can throw gas, and the Phillies have trouble with that, and that's been our nemesis. So he's addressed that, and I love it. Go ahead, Andy. I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, that's you talking about throwing gas. That is, a lot of people kind of poke at me for talking about Elder only being able to throw 90, and they'll throw the whole Paul Maharry, if he's in here. I hope he's watching. They'll say, Greg Maddux didn't throw 97. Well, also Greg Maddux pitched 20 years ago, where you may have had 1, 2, 3 guys that could throw mid-90s. Now everyone is throwing mid-90s, and you're slow if you're throwing 94. So no, I think Alex Anthopoulos wanted gas, hard throwing guys, and that's the way. I mean, that's the way to win. That's the trick to winning. So,
Yeah, I agree. And Charlie still throws pretty good velocity for an old man.
Yeah, he does.
I think
he
Chris
threw
Sell.
97, 98 last year. Yeah.
Yep, Max can still chunk it when he needs to. Spencer, of course, is one of the best in the game. I mean, and then that's why Lopez is kind of like,
Yeah.
if he blows them away in spring training, I mean, they may just say, let's give it to Lopez and go from there. So nothing's going to surprise me. I mean, it's literally, all right, who's the best guy for this? And if they feel like Lopez can go and won't break down, then they'll put him in there. And then if they, I think Bryce needs to pitch his ass off, which he should want to do. Because if I'm Bryce Elder, I'm thinking, hold on, you some bitches. I was an all-star last year. I made 30 starts. Fuck you for going and getting all these guys. I want to show you that I'm the guy for this job. And if he doesn't, he's going to be in AAA or in the bullpen.
Right.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. I think he needs to get up on the shoulder. Yeah. And come out there and do it. Yeah.
I also love what Joshua says here. These guys are actually voicing World Series or bust. And as a fan, that's my mentality. It's and I know it is yours, Andy and Bill as well.
Oh, yeah.
World Series or bust, right? But the players are voicing that, and it doesn't mean anything, right? I mean, really, overall, it really doesn't mean anything. But just to hear them say that, it's refreshing to hear to me because they know last season and the year before, those were failures. I mean, last season was an absolute joy to watch until it wasn't. Right. Yeah. We got punked by the Phillies, and that hurts. And they're still thinking about that. So they want that World Series. Even Ozzie said, hey, I want a second one. That was fun as hell. Let's do it again. I love that mentality going into the season that they're voicing that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's great. And so Bill, Andy Adams posted. He said about Kelnick. What do you do if Kelnick struggles? That's a good question.
That's a great question.
I think for now, I mean, they're going into it with the mindset of this is his job. He's the left fielder, and they're going to leave him alone. There's not a platoon. I still kind of wonder about Adam Duvall being out there as a free agent. I kind of wonder if they'd be tempted with that. Just because he's out there and he's available. But I'm sure they could have brought him in already if they wanted to. But I think if they did that Kelnick would think, well, am I their guy or not? Because they would want to get Duvall at bats, and he wouldn't be able to get at bats anywhere else. Where's he going to go? He would be a pinch hitter, and the pinch hitters these days, what are they? They're nothing. So I think Kelnick's the guy, and they, if he's not the guy, then they'll have to obviously adjust and do something else. But I think you've got to give him some, a couple of months to see what he can do. And I'd be very surprised if this kid fails. I just think he's going to strike out a lot, which he's going to make Andy go crazy with all the strikeouts.
Me too. I hate him.
That's going to be something that's going to have to improve. And I talked about that today on the show. It's like, Kelnick's got to get better with that because striking out 33% of the time ain't going to cut it, whatever it is, so he's got to get better with that. But hopefully, again, the pressure, not being the guy, because Seattle put a lot of pressure on him. They did. It was like Kelnick and Rodriguez. So that he ain't even in the conversation right now with that situation. He's so far down the list of Atlanta. I mean, you got 9 players of the top 100 in baseball on this roster, and he ain't one of them. And, a year ago, they probably thought in Seattle that he was going to be one of the top 100 by this year because of how high the expectations were for him. They don't have to worry about that with Atlanta. So hopefully that will calm him down to say, hey, I want to be a team player, get better as I go along, and help this team win and not have the pressure of you got to be the dude. He's so far down the list of being the dude on this team, it ain't even funny. So I hope that they'll have a long leash for him. I mean, I don't want him to be like Dan Uggla 2011, but I think he didn't he didn't have a horrible batting average last year. The OBP needs to get better. There's no question about it. But again, lower in the order, how's he going to do? And I'm anxious to see what he can do with that.
And he doesn't, like you said, he doesn't have to be the guy. And one, he's really good defensively. So you're talking about the best defensive outfield in baseball. And now you're talking about he's not going to have the pressure of carrying a team. Who knows? He may go out and hit 300 this year just because he's comfortable. I personally think he's going to have a great year because he will be batting 7th or 8th, depending on how the Braves do it. I think he's going to hit great down there. So I'm excited about him. So And Bill, that does lead us to a question that I have for you. And then Eddie, you can answer as well. Who is going to be the Braves offensive MVP? And who is going to be the Braves pitching MVP?
Austin Riley and Chris Sale.
Well, that was quick.
I think Austin Riley. I think Austin Riley is going to have an MVP caliber season.
I agree.
And, I love Austin Riley. I'm just a huge fan. I think he's getting better as he goes along. I think the older he gets, the better he's going to get. I think, you could flip a coin, obviously, with Acuna, Olsen, and Riley, with those three as far as MVP candidates. There's no question Acuna, that's the easy answer. But I just think Austin Riley is going to absolutely go batshit crazy. And I think he is the kind of player, that can just take off and hit 40 plus. He was, what was he, 37 last year and right at 100. And I think he can be, especially with the RBIs. I just think Austin Riley, the RBIs what Matt had last year, 137, I think 137 RBI. I think Austin could do the same type thing. Play Gold Glove defense at third, and so yeah. And I just think I'm just drinking the Chris Sale Kool-Aid, man.
Let me stop you right there. Do you think this becomes Austin Riley's team this year? That he's the leader of this team?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's time.
He's signed for the longest contract.
Yep.
He doesn't leave until 2033 when you'll be drawing Social Security, and I think he's just the guy. I think he's the guy. I think. Well, there's always been something to me about leadership at third base. I've always kind of thought that. I know Chipper, but you look at. Bob Horner was the last Braves captain they had. He was a third baseman back 40 years ago. Mike Schmidt was the captain. There's just a lot of people that played third base were like leaders of the team, and I think that Austin's just got that mentality. He's very mature. And I think that the older he gets, the more players are going to look to him for things and to look for him for leadership. And I really do, Eddie. I think this is going to become his team.
Who was it last year, Bill? Who was it last year
for the leader of the team?
Yeah, was it Travis Garneau?
Probably.
See, we're having to think about it. That's a bad thing. That's why I asked that question.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, but
I don't know.
Exactly.
Acuna's the best
exactly
player.
Why I asked that question.
Yeah,
is he a leader of the team?
No,
I agree. I don't think he is either.
No, and that's not a knock. That's not a negative.
No, it's not. It's not.
Personalities are different. It's like, well, Dale Murphy was the best player in '82, but Joe Torre asked Bob Horner to be the captain.
Right.
You have, Derek Jeter wasn't necessarily the best player on the Yankees.
No, he wasn't. No.
But he was the captain. Joe Torre wanted him to be the captain, and that's why he named him that. And Acuna will always be the best player on any team he's on, probably.
He's the best player in baseball. Yeah, he's the best player in baseball.
Right. So it's not like Austin's going to take over him and Riley and Acuna's going to slump. But man, I just think that you look at a personality. I think 9 times out of 10 it is an American player because there is some communication. It was like when we 20 years ago, when we would go in the press box, we would go to Glavine because Maddox was kind of retarded. We would go to Glavine, and then Glavine left. Well, then we went to Smoltz.
Smoltzy, yeah.
Okay. Then Smoltz left. And there was no way you're like in the late 90s or early 2000s we would have ever gone to Chipper. But when Smoltz left and Chipper knew, oh, shit, they're coming to me, Chipper was perfect. Could not have been better. And I'm telling you, he was not that early in his career. Not that he was off the rails, but he was just not ready for that. The way Chipper got ready for that, I think Austin Riley's getting ready for that. And I think that's what's going to happen as we progress. May not necessarily be this year. It may take Eddie more of like Charlie Morton and Chris Sale and the older players kind of going off and leaving. But because you got to remember, there's no older player on this. Who's the oldest player on the position team? Probably Matt Olson at 30.
Matt Olson. Yeah.
Right. So, anyway, I just think I love Austin. I've interviewed him since he was 18 years old. When he got drafted, he's just a fine young man, and I think he is the one that, as we go along, the media will go to interview. I think
Mhm.
I think we'll gravitate toward him. I think we will look to him for those comments and that will speak for the team. And something happened. Well, let's go to Austin Riley.
Yeah.
And again, it is a little bit of a disconnect with a Latin player. I mean, even though Ozzy can speak English, Azuna can speak English, we're talking about a guy who's going to be here for the next 10 years, and that matters.
It does, and he has that kind of, he almost has that chipper demeanor, that Freddie Freeman demeanor. He kind of has that. So yeah, I'm with you. I think he is the guy on the offense. I think he is going to have a huge year. I'm with Max Fried on the pitcher side. I think Max Fried is going to win the Cy Young. I think he is going to just go out there and, I mean, I really think 18 to 20 wins. I think he is going to throw, 250 strikes. I really think he is going to be the best pitcher in baseball this year, which is great, but it's also sad because it'll probably be the last time we see him. So,
well, I love Max, as you know, Andy, and I've written that same article in that same column 3 times now, I think, about wanting him to stay and begging him to be signed. And I don't know what else to write, but I think it would be a huge tragedy if they don't re-sign him, because I think he and Spencer Strider for the next 6 to 7 years could be the best
yes,
1-2 punch of any rotation in baseball.
I agree.
I don't know how you let that go. I don't know how you let that go.
Yeah,
Hey, sorry, I had to step away. My dog was going crazy. Thank you, Andy. But I heard you talking about English players, Bill, and I just wanted to point this out. Acuna was on an interview, yesterday, maybe the day before, and I was so proud of him for doing it in English. And the reason I say that is because we don't give a shit how it sounds. He's trying, and that's the most important thing to me. I mean, you may say something, flub it up. Who cares? Ronald, I give you all kinds of credit for doing that. It's fantastic. It was great, and we loved it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it took a lot of courage, and I'm proud of the kid for doing it.
Yep, I agree. It did take a lot of courage, and he did do a fine job. And I think he I think he wants to be a leader on this team. But I think there's got to be an amazing feeling to be that kind of player and to know how good you are. We all have an ego. Somebody who's depressed, who's in a fetal position and drinking a quart of vodka, Ken from Cumming. Even somebody like that.
That's got gin, though. It's gin. It's not vodka.
Gin. He's got an ego.
Oh, sure.
But when you're that good at something, and it's like, it's got to be an unbelievable feeling. It's like what Tom Brady has to feel. It's got to be like what Michael Jordan felt. It's got to be incredible to have that kind of confidence that throw that 97-mile-an-hour fastball. I don't give a shit. I'm going to hit it. I'm going to hit it. But so I think in a way we're going to see the best of Acuna from a total all-around perspective.
Yeah.
4 or 5 years.
You know what, Bill? You brought this up on your show today, and I think this is a brilliant point. It's probably a caller. I don't think it was you, because it wasn't a brilliant point made by you. How
if Pastor Tommy wasn't on here, I'd cuss your ass out, boy.
That's okay. You can cuss me out. That's okay. No, I think you brought it up. Maybe the injury to him, God forbid it was terrible, was the best thing to happen to Ronald Acuna, because it leveled him a little bit, made him miss the game, turned his ego down a little bit. And he was like, I'm not invincible. And he's been, since that injury, it took him a year to get there. He's at MVP level, right? And he's not going to stop.
Well, I think sometimes it takes something to knock
you down. Yeah.
And then it took all of 2022 for him to kind of get back up.
Right.
I mean, he was not the same player in 2022 that he was in 2021 or first half. And I don't know whether it was fear or whatever it was. He didn't have that in 2023 because he was on another level. but yeah, it's he's an incredible talent. He's one thing we did talk about too today was, and someone had this point about Max's contract. It's like, well, if Max doesn't sign, well, I brought this up because they were talking about Max's contract, and I said, well, one thing that's going to be interesting to watch is if Max doesn't sign, and I think they could have enough money for both of them, but it's kind of like in 1997. John Schultz traded Marquise Grissom and David Justice. Now, I think John was full of shit, to be honest with you. But the reason he justified that trade with Cleveland to get Kenny Lofton, which was a really bad deal, was so that he could turn around and re-sign Tom Glavine and Greg Maddux because their contracts were coming up. And he did. He re-signed those guys and but he used that as an excuse for why he traded Justice and Marquise Grissom. The problem I had with that situation was right after he did trade those guys, a year later he signed Andres Galarraga, and a year later he signed Brian Jordan. Mm-hmm. So he could have signed both of those, or still signed both of those position players, kept Grissom and Justice, and still kept the pitchers. But, I think it's going to be interesting to see that if Max leaves, they're going to have a ton of money available. Not only this coming winter, but long-term on the books, it's not going to be very much. I mean, it's really ridiculous because of all these $20 million contracts he signed with Olsen and Riley and even Spencer.
And Ozzie as well.
Yeah. And Ozzie's at $7 million. He's so low it doesn't even
his small contract.
Sure. But I mean that's going to be interesting to see if that's spun to where we can get a deal for Acuna done that will keep him here. Because I mean, that's the thing even about Max. If Max were to stay healthy, Max could get 200 wins. Let me tell you something. In 15 to 20 years, 200 wins might get you into Cooperstown the way these things are going.
That'd be close.
Yeah. So,
one more thing, Bill. Is there any fear in your mind that Ronald Acuna thinks he's being underpaid? I know he signed the contract at the time. It was good for him. But a year from now, 2 years from now, he says, I'm worth $40 million a year. And what does he have? $17 million for the next 3 years, I think, with an five. Is it 5? Okay. I don't know when the
3 plus 2.
3 plus 2. Okay, there you go. And $17 million. I'm just so afraid that Acuna may say, I'm sitting out this year. And I don't know how it works for baseball, right? I don't know if that's an option to sit out, but he may be like, you guys got to pay me. This is ridiculous. I'm getting paid $17 million. There's guys around the league that are getting $50 million that are not even as close to what I am. Is that a fear in your mind?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think Alex has got to think about that too and worry about that to some extent. That may be a situation with Max as well. It's like, okay, if I give Max $27 million, because I don't know why Alex would not offer Max what he offered Aaron Nola. Like, well, start there. And if you can't get him there, but anyway, even at $27 million, that's $10 million more than Acuna. So is Acuna going to say, let's say Max signs a 5-year deal, $27 million per year, whatever the math is on that. And it's like, well, hold on, that's $10 million that I have. What's the deal? So sure, I think you have to wonder about that a little bit. He's kind of a hothead Latin, that you got to wonder about and so forth. But I mean, I think Ozzie's good at holding him down and so forth. But I think you always have to wonder about that a little bit when you've got a player of that caliber. I mean, he is the best player in baseball. What's the best player in baseball worth? And you know what? I'll tell you, I thought about this too, guys, when I was thinking about Acuna. It's like, his star power is probably going to be if you think even if they keep him for this contract, they don't touch that contract. And let's say in 4 years, we're going into, what would that be? 25, 24, 25, 26, 27, going into 2027. And he's got a year left on the option year and he's still making $17 million. Can you imagine if he has even a slimmer of a season like he had last year? How big of a star this sumbitch is going to be? Yeah. I mean, We probably have never seen it. It'll be worse than Chipper. It'll be worse than Dale Murphy. It'll be crazy because of how good he is. I mean, we're talking about someone who you can't think of anybody, and I know Ohtani is probably the closest we can think of because he's a dual threat. But I mean, you can't usually think of a baseball player as the greatest player in the sport. That's always been hard to quantify and label. Ohtani's easy because he does both. And like, who the heck's ever done this? But you're talking about someone who, like, for the next 5 years, we could say, oh, there's one guy that's so far. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't get the Mookie Betts. Mookie's a great player. Mookie's a great player. I love Mookie. He's a great young man. He's awesome. He ain't as good as Ronald Acuna. Fuck no. That's ridiculous to me. That's crazy.
The thing about Acuna, when you compare now, Ohtani, if he's pitching and his arm's healthy, okay, he's everything you want.
He's different. He's in a class of his own.
That's totally different. But his arm is not healthy now. Ronald Acuna, to me, the difference is when he gets on first base, he's going to second. Okay, he puts pressure on pitchers that Ohtani cannot do, and that is a huge thing. Second to third, that's a pressure point too. And Acuna makes you think about those kinds of things, Bill. That's why I think he's the best player in baseball, period.
Well, and you know what? It's like last night when he was on MLB Network, they asked him about Ricky Henderson. Okay, if Ricky Henderson and Jose Canseco had a child, it's Ronald Acuna.
Yeah.
Someone who can steal. I mean, who in the world, name me a power hitter who can steal what he does?
Yeah.
Last time this happened, it was Otis Nixon. Otis Nixon had like 5 home runs a year, once a month, maybe. This guy has 40. So there's no one that does what this cat. I mean, just like there's no one that does what Ohtani does, because Ohtani's not Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth didn't do it at the same time.
No,
I remember that. You watched it on TV back then.
That's right. Yeah, I was 12. That's right.
Yeah, no, he's definitely just in a class of his own. I can't even. You said name a power hitter that's stealing bases. Name just a non-power hitter that steals bases like this. I mean,
that's a good point. That's a great point. Yeah. There is one.
Name me a power hitter who can steal. Name me someone who can steal 50 bases, who can hit 20 home runs. Isn't that hard? Isn't that hard in itself to do?
Yeah.
I mean, if you go look at the stolen base leaders last year, let me go do that real quick.
Yeah, pull that up.
That's an interesting thing.
Acuna stole 73 last year. So,
yeah. So I mean, let's find a marginal stolen base, and
Corbin Carroll, he's good. I mean,
Corbin Carroll is going to be an outstanding player. There's no question about it.
What kind of power does Corbin Carroll have?
Okay, Esteury Ruiz, 67 steals, 5 home runs. Corbin Carroll, no question. You're right. Bobby Witt, no question. Those two are great players, but they didn't hit 40. They had
Corbin Carroll hit 25, but that's still a ton of home runs.
Yeah.
Oh, and Corbin Carroll. Look, if Corbin Carroll's he's going to MVP award.
Oh yeah,
he's going to MVP.
Yeah. Julio, obviously Julio Rodriguez. Okay, could he be a 40-40 guy? Yeah, Julio Rodriguez could be a 40-40 guy. Josh Lowe, no. Lindor, no. I think Lindor could be a 30-30 guy, but we're talking about 40, who could be a 45-45 guy? Maybe Carroll. I don't know if he's got that type of power. Maybe Witt. But I mean, who could be a 40-40 guy? I don't know if even the Carroll or Witt could do that, So, man, it's hard. It's an unbelievable thing that he's done. Unbelievable.
And Acuna's already talking about he's already talking about 50-50. He's already talking about that.
I think he is going to do everything he possibly can to get 50-50.
Yeah,
I think that is his goal.
That's what I'm saying.
50-50. I think that is his goal.
Yeah.
Clay from Kentucky never call me during basketball season. You only call me during baseball season. It's baseball season now. You need to call me, Clay. Andy says, why did Sean Murphy revert below to his career mean in the second half? It is worrisome. And I know. And I know Andy likes him some William Contreras. I'm anxious to see Murphy this year to see if he can be a little bit more consistent. Obviously, he stepped into a team that it was pretty. And I'll tell you this, I think Darno is getting toward the end. I'm a little surprised they did that. And while I love Travis, don't get me wrong, and I mean he's going to be a good major league manager one day. I think Travis is. I don't think it's going to be a split thing. I think it's going to be a backup thing. Now you still want to get your backup 2 starts out of 10, but I'm anxious to see if Sean Murphy's more comfortable. He was nervous last year. I thought when I interviewed him, I thought, man, he's a quiet guy and everything, but I thought he was a little nervous early on, but he played well and then kind of fell back. So yeah, I'm anxious to see him for sure.
Well, Olsen did the same thing. I mean, Olsen was at the front of his when he came over, right? I mean, and Murphy was. Andy, I don't know that I agree with William Contreras better than Sean Murphy at the bat. I just think this year we're going to see Sean Murphy way ahead of William Contreras. I have all the confidence in that guy in the world. I think he's.
Well, William Contreras shocked people with how much he had improved defensively last year. That was shocking. I didn't expect it. He was better. He was much better because the Braves did not like him behind the plate at all.
He was not good behind the plate, and then he was good last year. Yeah. Well, guys, we didn't get to the Falcons. We can do that next time because they still got a few weeks before the draft.
Who cares?
Who cares?
Yeah, they're going to be crazy.
Hey, I want to if he's not still in here, Tommy Franks, he probably left because I said fuck. Tommy's a pastor. I don't want him to think that I'm a bad person, although he thinks I already am because I'm a Georgia fan and he's on the Kalen DeBoer bandwagon. Tommy, are you still in here, Tommy? Because I want to know if you have gone. You're going to the games Monday and Tuesday. I just wonder if you've gone to look at the workouts or if you just got down there. So, Tommy, if you're still here, he's probably not. One of those damn Baptists going to be so offended by some damn Catholic saying something. But anyway, Tommy, if you're still in here, call my show and tell me what you're seeing. That's for sure.
Now, Bill, are you going down there next week? Is that your plan? No. When are you going to be down there?
I hope late March.
Okay.
I gotta wait. I make sure my mom's okay and everything.
Yeah, I get it. I just can't wait to hear some of the interviews you do with the players and the pitchers and that kind of thing. It's going to be great. I love hearing that stuff.
Yeah, I'm hoping to be able to go. Clay on there. Yeah, I don't think that he would bring in a pitcher, but I do wonder if there's someone left that he might be tempted by. I mean, I mentioned Duvall, but it's like what Alex said about, well, I could have brought in a bigger name than Nicky Lopez before the trade deadline, but I don't think they would have liked their role. I don't know if he brought in any of those guys who could maybe go for a 1-year contract if they would like their role. Because I even thought about Blake Snell. Would he just float?
I thought about that too.
I mean, I don't think so. Because I just think that fifth star's job, I think they're as excited about it as I am. So if you do that.
Who was he talking about? The pillow contacts?
Well, I mean, just talking about this, like if there's one of the guys out there still available that would take a 1-year deal from Alex and then come back and be a free agent next year.
Like who, for example?
Well, Jordan Montgomery, Blake Snell, Cody Bellinger.
I've thought about Blake Snell.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's tempting to him, but I'd really be surprised. I really would, because like we talked about, I think he wants to do Kelnick and see if Kelnick can be the guy. I mean, he gave up a lot for Kelnick and had to maneuver a lot to get it done. I think it'd be better if Kelnick didn't have that pressure of an Adam Duvall there, because I thought about Duvall myself. Like, man, they love him some Adam Duvall now. Brian Sicker loves him some Duvall, but I just think I'd be surprised by that. I really would if they did.
Kelnick has a higher upside than all those players you named, a bigger upside, right? Don't you agree?
Sure. Well, I think, Bellinger, but they're not going to sign Bellinger.
No. For what they signed Kelnick for is what I mean, right?
Right. I mean, they did a lot to make room for Kelnick. So it's like they need to see what Kelnick can do. I mean, look, if it changes, they need to readjust. Okay, if like Andy was asking how long his leash is, sure. I mean, but I just think, this roster looks good.
Yeah.
I love this roster. I just cannot wait. I think, and of course, hey, the shit can hit the fan overnight. right? We know. I've been down there.
It's gonna hit it. It's something's gonna happen, right? I mean, one or two things are gonna happen. That's just the way baseball is.
Yeah. I mean, last year Kyle Wright hurt. Well,
Yep.
shit.
Yeah.
Right. It's like you start. It's like, well, Kyle Wright slowed down. It's like, okay. And then it's like, well, I get there and like, well, Kyle Wright's not going to be ready. Okay. And then, I mean, look, if you want an example of how crazy baseball is, I mean, Max got a hamstring pull in the first game of the season.
First game.
Yeah.
That's
You
right.
can't predict that. You can't guard against that. It was cold in Washington. He's warmed up, but he weighs 140 pounds, for crying out loud. So, I mean, how can you predict it? How can you keep that from happening? But you can't blame the trainers. You can't blame Max. Sometimes things just happen.
Right.
But going in on paper, I love this roster.
Yeah, they're as good as anybody. I mean, I think they are the favorites to win the whole thing.
Well, no, wait a minute. The Dodgers won what, 14-1 today? Is that what the final score was?
Yeah, a bunch of
y'all know.
Yeah,
well,
I think
the media's already crowned them World Series champs, so it's over. I don't know why we're going to continue playing. It's done. So congratulations, Ken and Dodgers. Ken from Cumming.
Yeah.
Good job.
14-1. Yeah,
Okay.
It was 14-1.
Yeah, it's over. I mean, we're done.
Yeah,
that's what they were saying. Well, guys, we've been going at this for a little bit longer than we had thought, so we'll finish it up now. But this was fun. We want to thank everyone that is here with us and chatting with us and telling us all these things that we're doing wrong. So we appreciate it. We will see you guys next time. So I don't know if we'll be on next week. We'll just kind of play it by ear and see how it goes. So until next time, he's Eddie from Mackworth, Bill Shanks, and I am Andy Stowe. See you guys.